Hello everybody and welcome to this week's indie game. Today we're going to be playing Dungeon Escape. This is available on Steam as of May 27th, 2016 for $4. That's not a launch sale price, that is the official price. It's not early access, this is the full game. It was made by Alexei Rowenko. I hope I'm saying that correctly. This is their first game on Steam, and it is a precision platformer game with a rather minimalistic art style. Not the first one of its kind. We covered IZBot in, I think actually the first video of this series. And there are some similarities and some differences between those two games, as well as, the rest of the precision platformer genre. Before we jump into the actual game real quick, this is the settings inside the game. Music and sound, not great. And one really impressive thing about this game that I want to point out before we jump in is the sheer number of languages. There are 17 current languages, and there have been a couple of patches since it officially launched that actually have been adding more. So I don't know how many they were wind up being at the end, or, in the future. But even still, this is an incredibly impressive amount of languages. Not something you see every day in games. Okay, so let's hop into the game. I'm going to start at level 8. We'll probably do a couple of these first two levels in the first row. You can see this is in the purple tier of levels. And as we get to like the rest, each row in that level selector list is actually a different difficulty setting, pretty much. So they get really, really difficult, and they change colors, the color theme of the levels. Okay, so this was not too bad. You saw, whoops, of course I say that and then didn't finish it. Saw blade spikes, wandering red enemies, pretty standard, right? We're starting as this player in the upper right. Nothing out of this world when it comes to precision platforming games. Yeah, you gotta get the key, you gotta touch the door. That's it, right? Nothing too out of this world. So, get down to the door, next level. Again, pretty standard here. And when we talk about platforming, I like to talk about two things. The first thing is player movement, and the second thing is level design. Those are the two most important things in my mind. So let's talk about player movement. I actually want to break that down even farther to be the control scheme and the physics, because some games are platformers that feel poorly designed based on their controls. Other times it seems to be something about the way physics operates. Let's talk first about the controls. As you could see on the home page and in the settings, there was no list of controls there, and there was no list of controls in the first few levels of the game either. There was no tutorial or anything of the sort. And so, in terms of what buttons you actually are supposed to press, it's a little unclear. Obviously, if you're playing with a keyboard, I should mention this is controller support, and it is much better with the controller. If you're playing with the keyboard, you should, expect WASD and arrow keys to work, and they do. And space is jump, as well as W and the up arrow. So it's pretty standard, but beyond that, you have no idea what to push. And as it turns out, there is nothing beyond that. This game was made with Unity. Don't dismiss it on that fact alone, though. It's clearly not an asset flip. I knew that trap was there from when I previously beat it, following spikes. It's clearly not an asset flip. It's clearly not someone just trying to make a really bad game with free tools in order to sort of hope that it gets popular and they make a little bit of money off of it. This was clearly polished, and a lot of thought was put into it. So anyways, one of the great things about the Unity engine is that it's really easy to add things like controller support and also re-key bindable controls. So this game does feature that, but you have to do it through the Unity launcher, which is a very common way of doing things, although it's one of my least favorite things about Unity games. So pretty much when you start the game, you get this prompt, this window that asks you what resolution you want to play at, and it's basically, those kinds of settings. All right, I'm going to give this level one more try, then we're going to move on to some of the more harder ones. All right, just so I can show you. Let's go to 13. This one was kind of hard. So here we can see there's a lot more obstacles on the screen. Actually, this is a rather not chaotic level. So let's do 12. Yeah, this is a good one. Just so you can see that things really do ramp up in difficulty. You can see new enemy types, lots more saw blades on the field, spinning thing down there. So yeah. Whoop. Whoop. I'm not gonna, at this point, things are hard enough that I don't want to get all the coins. So you have to, if you want to change your settings like that, this is sort of a side note, it's sort of related to controls. If you want to rebind the controls, or if you want to change your video settings or anything like that, you're going to have to, I messed that jump up a lot. You're gonna have to close the game, change them, open it, see if they are what you want, and then sort of repeat that process. You can't just change it and see the updates live in the game. Which is, in my opinion, lame, but it does work. But anyways, the controls in terms of, once you figure out that there are pretty much no controls, it's just, you know, just directional keys and, I forgot that was a falling spike trap. It's basically just directional keys and jump. Those work really well. They are no lag time. There is very responsive. They're very consistent, and I don't feel like I don't feel like I meant to make my player do an action and something else happened. It seems like exactly what I wanted. And that actually relates to physics as well. So another great thing about the Unity engine is it has a built-in physics engine that is pretty adequate, and this is no exception. I do not feel like my jumps are behaving differently. I don't feel like I'm being messed up. I don't feel like things are happening that I didn't intend to happen based on the game's physics engine going all wonky. So great. So in terms of player movement, things are pretty okay, pretty great. I do want to say that because there is no other option to sprint or do any other movement like that, it does feel like the game is a little bit more about what I do under my fingers and less about decision making, right? If an obstacle is closing a gap that I want to make, I can't choose to try to speed up. I can't decide whether or not a particular jump calls for a sprint, fast movement, or slow methodical movement. It's basically, you have one option. It's just, did you jump at the right time? And that's essentially it. So it's a little bit less of a mental game and more of a how pixel perfect can you get your jumps. I personally don't like that. I think I would prefer something like IZBot, where you can maybe jump over a platform without touching it because you're sprinting and going fast, and maybe that'll make it easier, and it's a little bit of an exploration of how to come at the level. There really isn't that in this game. It's pretty clear how you're going to get through the level. It's just, can you pull it off? Okay, but we haven't talked about level design yet, and I would say level design is also pretty okay. I'm not going to say it's amazing, but I have yet to come across a level where I feel like I can't do it. When I fail at a level, it doesn't feel like there's no way to complete the level. It definitely feels like I didn't do it right, which is how it should be, in my opinion. There were some early on stages that had some jumps that were pixel perfect, or you're not gonna make it in like the 4th level or something like that. And that felt bad, not necessarily because it was so early on and I wanted things to be easier. I mean, that's true, but I feel like if I had known that I for sure wasn't missing a control, like a sprint button or something like that, because it would have been made so much trivial with a sprint button or something like that. It also took me a while to figure out that there was double jump even, which is, you know, obviously a huge part, as you're seeing, a huge part of the game. So if I had known that I wasn't missing anything, I wouldn't have felt as bad about those pixel perfect jumps because I would have known that it's just about timing, but it took me so long, and actually I had to look on Steam forums. This is a level I haven't beaten yet, and I'll talk about why, because it actually is related to controls. Yeah, so I felt like I actually had to close out the game, look at the Steam forums, and then sort of, based on those Steam forums, I didn't find anything, but I restarted the game. And when restarting the game, I actually realized I could look at that Unity launcher and go to the Rekeybind tab. Again, this is totally outside the game. And I did, and saw that there was no sprint button, and there was a shoot button that I didn't know about. And so I assume in later levels there's some sort of shooting enemies mechanic that is not here right now. Woo! No! Ugh. I do kind of rage at this game. Yeah, so... Oops, that was bad. So once I knew that there was no other controls, I didn't care that the jumps were really hard because I knew that it was all on me. But it would have been nicer to like play the first level of the game and get maybe in the first level there's nothing that can kill you, but there's you know, some jumps you can do just sort of to get the key, and maybe throughout the levels there's some little background images that show you that it's what the controls are, just so that I could have some indication that I wasn't missing anything important, because it really felt like I was missing something because the jump was so hard. So it's mostly a comment about there being no tutorial than about the level design being bad. But other than that, I have felt like the levels are totally adequate with interesting challenges in them. Again, not a question of how to beat it, always a question of can you pull off the one path that you must take. And yeah, there's coins obviously throughout the level. They increase your score as well as killing enemies. I got a Steam achievements based on my score, but nothing else. There's a lot of Steam achievements and trading cards. So it would be cool to unlock cosmetic things, spend points on maybe different skins for the character. I don't know, just a little something to make you want to get the coins a little more, because after things get past a certain point of difficulty, I don't really care about getting those coins. That's just me personally. I did in the beginning, and then after a while it was like, no, I just want to be done with these levels. Yeah, can I do that? I don't think, yeah, so I keep trying to. Here's my problem with this level. If you fall off an edge, you can press jump, and you will do essentially your second jump in the double jump. And I was hoping that I could use that to stay low, like that. I managed to do it there. It almost looks like it's gonna work. And that's why it sort of looks like I'm falling short, right? Because I'm only doing one jump, and I could be doing a second jump. But the hope, at least my hope, is that if I can pull this off right, I will stay low and not hit that line of bullets going off across the top. And sometimes so it does feel like it works, but then this is wicked hard. It's just so many bullets there. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes I accidentally walk off the edge like that. I walked off the edge before I did my first jump, and I lost the ability to do a second jump. And that is frustrating. Oh, there's so many bullets. No! Okay, so in terms of platforming, I think I've probably conveyed that it's really solid and fun and good, and you know, definitely $4 worth of platforming if you're a fan of platformers, especially ones that make you rage and are difficult. And I would recommend it if you're into that. Let's talk about some of the other stuff that really sets it apart from other games like this that I've seen. Oh wait, hold on, time to focus. No! That was the farthest I've ever gotten on this level. Oh, there we go again. This soundtrack, as I hope you've been able to hear throughout this entire time, is phenomenal. This definitely is tagged on Steam as a great soundtrack, and I definitely agree with that statement. There's credits. I wish I had written down the person who made the music. There's credits on the Steam page. Huge props. It really helps you get lost in the game and waste longer than you thought you were going to. I shouldn't say waste. Spend more time than you thought you were going to in the game, because it's not. I don't know, the music is so great. You're just kind of sitting here jamming, relaxing, sort of raging at the same time. And I really enjoy it. There's maybe 3 tracks, I would say. All right, hold on, time to focus. No! Oh, I totally forgot that there was gonna be something shooting sideways there. Terrible. Okay, the art style matches the music quite a bit, I would say. I don't know. I do think that retro pixel arty things is a little overdone, but one of the things I like about this is that it is pixel art, it does look like, except for these saw blades, right? It's not like 8-bit pixel art, but it is this minimalistic style. Yes. Whew. Oh wow. Oh, we have to use this guy as a human shield, I guess, and then somehow get out. Oh my God, that's so hard. Wow. Oh, then that blew it. And so, but it's more modern looking. It's flat colors. It's you know, very sleek, I think, and I really like it. So I am not concerned about art style. I don't think that it falls into this overused cliche at all of trying to make things look retro. I really like it. And again, it's helped a lot by the fact, ooh, falling spikes. It's helped a lot by the fact that the music is so great. Okay, the languages we already talked about, and that is incredible if you ask me. I don't know what to do here. Yeah, definitely can't do that. How are we gonna get that? The other spikes are falling too, you know, because they're slightly darker than most spikes, a little bit more gray. All right, can we like trigger it and then come back? How? Oh, geez, what are we gonna do there? No idea. This beginning part is pretty brutal too. Okay, let's try this. Just see what our options are up here. Maybe I'm wrong about these ones being falling spikes. Nope, they are. Okay. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to say about this game. Having more settings in the game would be nice. It was a little unforgiving at the start, not because it was poorly designed, but because you were left in the dark about what you could and couldn't do because there was no tutorial. Music is phenomenal. Art style is good. I'm not gonna say it's phenomenal. Yes. I'm not gonna say the art style. Oh, of course, that was a bad decision to come on this side since I can't get back up. And for $4, it is an incredibly reasonable platformer. It may not be as fast-paced and you may not have as much in-depth platforming capabilities due to having abilities to sprint or wall jump or something like that, like you would in iZbot or Super Meat Boy. But that said, what controls are here are very tight and maneuverable and satisfying. And there's, you know, I don't find myself thinking that the game was poorly made or poorly designed. And I have been able to play probably 2 hours. You can tell that since I'm only on the second tier of levels that I'm not very good at platformers. But I've been able to put quite a bit of time into this and not regret it. What? Look at how fast those bullets are going. Oh, and there's a saw blade there, so you really gotta move. All right, just wish me luck. Ah, wow. Yeah. I wish I could show you some of the higher level stuff, especially if there is a shooting mechanic, but I'm not good enough to ever get there, likely. So we're gonna have to go without a complete showcase of the game. I would have to play for probably all of today and not get this video out to actually get to those like last. No, there's no way I'm gonna do that. What the heck? It's entirely gonna be based on luck for me with my skill set. So this has been Dungeon Escape. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and as always, I would want to point out the fact that this game was given me, a key for this game was given to me by the developers. So I did not have to pay the $4 to get it, and that may influence my decisions and opinions, but I think I've done a good enough job supporting them with evidence. What do you think of the game? Let me know down in the comments. And yeah, be sure to check out Dungeon Escape on Steam.